Would you believe it? I'm back in Sarek National Park. Once again enjoying my favorite Malaysian Retiree. Well, you can probably tell I'm not literally back in Sarek. But if you're curious about what this guy over there actually carried through Sarek wilderness, why don't you join me in this video as I go through my complete Sarek hiking gear. All right, let's go through my big three. And I'll start with the tent here. This is Durston X Mid 1 Solid, which I have now used over 3 multi-day hikes, including strong wind, rain, etc. And I'm quite happy with this tent. So this I will continue to use for now, definitely. Weight of this one, 960 grams, including 8 ultralight stakes. All right. Second one, my backpack. This is the Steepax Arc Blast 55 liter Dyneema fabric, water resistant, so not using any pack liner or rain cover. I have done some additions that have increased the weight a bit, not much, but still some. I've added pouches on the shoulder pads here. I've added pockets here on the hip belts. All of these are the Z-Packs pouches and pockets. This is for my camera lenses, so I will later go through in this video my camera gear and then show how I use the camera gear setup here. For cameras also I have a clip here for my Fujifilm camera, and I have one clip here for the GoPro, and these two weigh a bit, all right. So that's what I had during the Sarek hike. After the Sarek hike I've also done some additions here. I have added an extra padding here on the hip belt to make it more comfortable. I've also sewn some soft leather here to sort of increase the friction so that the backpack doesn't slide down so easily once you fixed it in a good position. So this is what I'm going to try then for the coming season now and see how it works. Pouch for tripod, but I'll go through that in the camera section as well. So all in all, with these additions, then this backpack Constellation weighs 850 grams. All right, then third item here, sleeping bag, or rather sleeping quilt. I sleep most comfortably in a quilt where I can sleep on the side, turn around, etc. And this is the Enlightened Equipment Revelation sleeping quilt, which is supposed to be comfortable down to -6 degrees or 20 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm quite happy with this one, and with the straps that go around the sleeping pad, then I feel this has worked well down to what I've tried last summer was down to 2-3 degrees above zero. Then I felt quite comfortable. This one weighs then 740 grams. And then on to the sleeping pad then. So what I'm using is a Big Agnes Zoom ultralight insulated. My target is normally to be as ultralight as possible, but not sacrificing comfort. So this is the wide and the long version of this sleeping pad. R value 4.3, and this has worked very well, same as the sleeping quilt, together with the sleeping quilt, down to a couple of degrees above zero. So I'm happy with this one too. Not going to replace this soon. And then moving on, trekking poles. I have Gossamer Gear LT5, I think the model is the lightest one. This pair weighs just below 280 grams. And I don't always use these for actual hiking, then they just sit on the backpack. But of course I need them for the tent, the Durston tent, so that's why I always bring them. I'm not sure, did I say the weight of this one, but this one is 640 grams, as I remember. And then last but not least, I'll sit down here, the pillow. This is an ongoing story and I might never finish, I don't know, but when I started out last year, I just used the inflatable Sea to Summit pillow, and which was not too bad. It's more or less okay. But I felt it could be better, so then I got the Z-Packs pillow dry bag. And I actually started out just filling it with clothes, but you don't always have so much clothes to spare to put in. So what I'm doing now is I'm inflating this one like halfway. And then I just add some clothes. Maybe if I don't need to wear my down jacket when I'm sleeping, if it's not really cold, then that goes in here to have a soft pillow. And then I just added a strap to put around the sleeping pad here as well. Because my experiment here with some rubber patches to keep it in place on the sleeping pad didn't really work out. So that's how it looks like right now. And I cannot remember the weight on this one, but I'll put it in there in the description somewhere. So that's then my big three. I'll share the summary weights for each section in the video as I go along. And then of course the total weight, which I will tell you later. How much did my total backpack weigh when I did the Sarek hike? Okay, so on to the next section. Okay, done with big three. Let's continue to go through my baseline gear. Next section here is clothing, the second heaviest section of my baseline. And if we start from the left here, this is my micro fleece hoodie from Meindl. This is what I wear basically every day when I feel either a little bit cold or just need protection from the sun. Very happy with this one. Next one here is my shell rain jacket and pants from ultralight. I think these are actually designed for sort of running, but they have withstood the rain quite well for me. In my experience, I've never really gotten wet, even after a few hours in rain. These weigh only, I think, 210 grams, this combo. Moving on, crossing rivers, I use these sock shoes from Skinner. I may actually replace this going forward because I find they're a little bit too heavy. Once they get wet, they don't drain so fast, so they sort of carry a lot of water in these after you've crossed the river. So I may change these for some kind of mesh shoes instead. Then I also carry my micro spikes here to put on my boots in case I cross any snowy or icy patch, which can happen in early or late summer, right? Then I have two pairs of gloves here. First, non-water resistant, just to stay a bit warm. And with these I can operate the smartphone as well, so I don't have to take these off, or smartphone or camera. And then if it really rains, then I have this shell gloves here to put on top that really keeps my hands dry then. So these are Swedish brand Hestra, and this is Black Diamond shell gloves. Then of course I have a bandana or a buff put around my neck or use over my head. That's a very universal item. Moving on, I have this very thin inner layer in silk from the US REI. This is basically what I put on at the end of the day when I'm about to go to sleep, to have as an inner layer. So this is what I try to keep clean. And then I put on warmer clothes outside that if I need to, if I'm not warm enough in the quilt. Yep, that's that. And then to stay warm, I have a top and a bottom here, merino wool. I have a few different, but this is what I used in my Sarek hike, Ulwang bottom here, and the smart wool top here. This is the merino 250, I think. Also quite okay, worked quite okay. And then more on staying warm, I bought just before this Sarek hike, I bought C-Pack's down jacket here, which I also find has been very good. It is really ultra light, but when it puffs up here, it really keeps me warm quite well. And if it's like cold and windy, this one covered by this shell set here, that really works quite well to keep me comfortable in colder weather. Then coming more to what I wear next to my skin, I have one pair of spare socks, inner sock and outer merino wool sock. And this is what I normally wear as I'm hiking. So this is just one spare pair of socks like this. Spare underwear, 2 of them, and only 1 spare dry fit t-shirt. These are so light and thin, so easy to wash as well while you're hiking. So. And then the stuff that goes into my backpack is I then keep in a dry bag. Some of the other things obviously go in the outside pocket, like the shell jacket and pants here, these for crossing rivers, and the gloves here. So that's my clothing, which is I think just below 2 kg, as you can see in the table that I will put in the video here as well. All right. Next in the baseline, let's go through my tools for navigation, communication, repair, and charging of batteries. If we start with navigation, my primary tool is my smartphone with offline maps and GPS. I also have topographic map downloaded here. So, and then my backup is printed maps, as well as a compass. This is the Silva Ranger compass. And then very importantly, I have my Garmin InReach Mini 2, mainly for emergency in case I need this, but also for just keeping in touch with family, maybe every night during an 8-day hike. All right. So that's navigation. And charging, I carried 4 of these Nightcore 10,000 milliampere hour power banks. These weigh 600 grams in total, so it's a big component in this section. My consumption was about 35,000 milliampere hours, so these 4 were sufficient. Then I have a pouch here with charging cables, both for the different types of USB devices and some backup cable as well. And then for nighttime and to light up the tent, basically, I have a small head torch from 4 class, purchased in Decathlon. I also have a thermometer by the brand name Thermodrop. This one is quite useful to be able to read the minimum temperature during the night to see how cold or comfortable you felt. I carry a small notebook with a pencil to make some notes, for instance, about the power consumption. I have spare specs because I don't wear contact lens when I hike, so I'm wearing specs, and then I have a spare set here of that. Then moving on to the repair kit here, so this is where the repair items would go. I have some repair patches for sleeping pad, some tools, some Allen wrenches, which I need for some of the camera equipment. I have a Leatherman Squirt PS4, which I really like very much. So small, so handy, with all the possible tools you can need. Rolled up duct tape, a couple of needles, and some strong sewing thread to repair broken backpack or anything like that. Some spare guy line and some spare clip, etc. If something breaks here, that you're really hard to be without. If I carry a drone, then I have some extra propellers here as well, and this then goes into this repair kit here, the repair bag. Right. Then I also carry some cable ties. I have some cable ties already in my backpack to hold the pockets securely and the camera clips. So this is both spare and also for potential repair. If something breaks, a cable tie, is really good to use for such repair. Okay, next section. To complete the baseline, I'll now quickly go through cooking department, medical and protection items, hygiene and sleep items, and toiletry. So we start with the cooking stuff here and go to the fire department. This is my primary gas stove, the Fire Maple FMS 300, which I feel is quite sturdy. And then I use as backup the somewhat more fragile BRS 3000T, just for backup. Cigarette lighter, of course, to light, and then ignition steel as backup, with which I can light the gas stove or start a fire if I need to do that. And I have some starter material here as well to make it easier to light the fire. Okay, and then for the gas stove I also have wind protection here. It could have been a little bit higher. This is good for an alcohol stove, but it also helps for a gas stove. And then in terms of utensils, of course I have a spork. Who doesn't have a spork? And in terms of drinking cup, I have the collapsible C2 Summit drinking cup. Cooking pot, Trangia with the handle, all lightweight. Then I have a Tokes frying pan with the handle. And this also serves as a lid when I'm boiling something in the pot here. Dishwashing sponge, of course, and some waste and laundry bags here, plastic bags. Medical and protection then. This medical kit is actually not what it says here. This is a customized one where I've taken out a lot of stuff and then replaced some. So I can go through this separately if necessary. Mosquito protection, in this case the Swedish one I bought in Sweden for the Sarek National Park. Sunblock. And then last but not least in this department here, mosquito head net. Very important if you hike in Sarek. And this is the C2 Summit Nano mosquito head or head net. And then hygiene and sleep. If you talk about washing, then I have a refillable container here from Matador, where I will fill like C2 Summit Wilderness Wash or anything else, whatever I buy. I refill this. And of course a microfiber towel here that can dry very fast. For sleeping, eye cover, and then very important earplugs as well, both very important for sleeping. And then of course toothbrush, toothpaste, floss, comb, and then menthol oil, which I feel is very soothing for itchy mosquito bites. I do have other medicine for sort of itchy stuff in here, but this is more just to soothe mosquito bites. And then last but not least, the toilet department here, of course, toilet paper. And then I have a bidet, so I bought this head here with the slit here to use as a bidet in the wilderness. And then, of course, a trowel, which I customized by putting a soft rubber thing here on top, screw that on, so it's easier to dig. I'm also showing here now the breakdown of the baseline. So you can see that the total weight of my baseline comes to 8.3 kg. So beyond the baseline, what is left to go through now is camera gear and consumables, and I'll start off with the latter. So when I plan for an 8-day hike, I would normally plan for 9 days of breakfast, lunches and dinners. And if we start with the dinners, what I carried on this hike was the freeze-dried food from the Swedish brand Blå Band. Not bad actually, but 8 days of only freeze-dried, you grow tired of it. So for the next coming hikes, I'm definitely going to partially replace this with the food that I at least partially cook, like proper pasta, etc. Gas consumption will then go up a bit, but I think it's worth it to actually enjoy the dinners a bit more. For lunch, I relied on also Blå Band, the Swedish brand, their Varma Koppen soup mix, different flavors, potato, leek, shrimp, etc. Quite tasty. And for breakfast, which I don't have anything to show for here, I relied on dark rye bread with different spread like cheese, ham, etc. Because when you hike in an area where the climate is a bit cooler, you can actually bring more variety of food to put on the bread, etc. And then of course I have my Retiree instant mix, which is quite good to be an instant mix. And also a cup of teas, chamomile tea is what I normally drink in that case. And then, of course, I'm a chocoholic, so I carry chocolate bars everywhere I hike. And when I'm in Sweden, I always carry the Marabou milk chocolate bar, 200 gram, which I portion out over 8 to 9 days. Okay, so that's for the food, and I'll show the table here now while I'm talking as well, so you can go through and ask questions in the comment section. In terms of water containers, what I carried on this hike were these two, the Catadin Be-Free 1 liter filtered collapsible bottle, and an Hygien hard plastic. I have been thinking this one is, even though it's quite heavy, the benefit with this one is that you could make it into a hot bottle, put in your sleeping quilt if you're going to face a very cold night. I haven't really felt I've needed that, and for the next coming hikes, I'm actually replacing this one with what I just got, the Hydra Pack collapsible bottle for 1.5 liter, which then weigh less than 100 gram, whereas the Hygien weighs 180 gram. So I'm reducing weight and also space, right? When I don't need to bring water all the time, then there's good savings in that. And the benefit here is also that, so you can see here, the filter that comes with the Be-Free bottle also fits in the Hydra Pack bottle here. Okay, so that's for water containers. Then for gas, I don't have that to show here, but what I'll do is I'll estimate the gas consumption I will have during the hike. And I choose the size of gas bottle, small, medium, large, and then I double that because redundancy of gas bottle I find is quite important. I have redundant gas stoves as you showed earlier, but also the actual bottle, I double that. So I think that's about all for consumables section. Then the only thing left is camera gear. And the main component of my camera gear is my Fujifilm X-S20. And one reason why I chose an APS-C format camera like this one is because then you can get smaller and lighter lenses. And this is my 70 to 300 millimeter zoom lens, original Fujifilm, and this lens alone weighs a mere 580 gram, which is quite good for such a lens. And this lens fits in the pocket here, the C-Pack's pocket. If I close this, it's watertight, and I can put the camera body somewhere else. But normally I would carry it like this. I fix it in my camera clip, the Peak Design camera clip. And I have a security latch here as well, like that. So in case I'm shooting something, so I don't drop it into the ground and then damage the lens. And then I have one more lens for my Fujifilm camera, and that's the also Fujifilm original 16 to 80 millimeter zoom lens, which goes into this other pocket together with the rain cover here that can cover both the body and the lens here. Okay, and then on this side I also have a Retiree tripod. So the tripod mount here is the type that would normally sit on a camera, so I fixed one to my backpack so I can very quick release like this, lift the tripod out of a net pouch here, and then be ready very quickly and put the camera on here. Because if I don't do this, I may be too lazy and too much trouble to take up the tripod, so this is sort of to overcome that laziness hurdle, if you like. Okay. And then for my Fujifilm camera, I also have a teleconverter 1.4. So together with the 300 millimeter lens, then I can go up to 420 millimeter, which is quite good for any wildlife video shooting. Right? Okay, so that's the Fujifilm section of it. And then on this side here, I have another clip, and this is where I would put my GoPro normally. Now I'm shooting this with my GoPro, so I cannot obviously, but I could do the same thing, quickly take it off here and put it on the tripod, right? That's the idea. And then for the GoPro, I have some fixtures. I have this standard one, like put on the head. Sometimes I use that when I cross the river. Then I also have more of a customized thing. So this is my Sarek Gear trekking pole. So the lower section here, I have a spare part of this on which I fixed a GoPro fixture. So I can just insert this one. And then basically, if I If I'm in an area where you're not allowed to fly a drone, then if I'm near a cliff edge, then I may just sort of fix the GoPro here, make this as long as possible, lie down, and then shoot this out over the cliff's edge. So you sort of get the feeling of flying. The camera is sort of flying a bit, right? So that's one function of this part. Then, of course, the second function is just to function as a spare part for the trekking pole, because I do need 2 functioning trekking poles for my tent, right? And the third one is as a spare leg for my tripod. And it actually happened during my Sarek hike that 2 or 3 sections here from my tripod just fell out while I was hiking. And I didn't hear them fall on the ground, so I lost them. So then I used this leg here as a spare leg for my tripod. So it's a triple function part, this thing here, which is good, right? Okay, then I move aside here a little bit so I can easier show you my gear list. But while I do that, I just wanted to mention here, I do have a drone, a DJI Mini 3 Pro. But in Sarek National Park or any national park in Sweden, it's normally not allowed to fly any drones. So I didn't bring my drone this time. I also have a couple of optical gear here, size binocular 8x25. I didn't bring this one. I also have a solo monocular 10x25. I didn't bring this one either, mainly because I felt I was a little bit on the heavy side already. Soon you will see my total weight on my pack, so I left these at home as well. Coming hikes, I'll probably bring the monocular, I think. Okay, so that's what I'll show here, and you can just look through the gear list a little bit more, and feel free to ask any question in the comment section. I'll try to answer. All right, to finalize, let's recap a bit. First, breakdown of baseline again, 8.3 kg, big 3 the biggest component, then clothing, navigation tools, etc., as you can see. And then last but not least, the final weight, the total weight, 17.3 kg, of which baseline constitutes almost half, and then the rest is camera gear and consumables.